Welcome back to WindleyMania. My name is Andrew, and with me, as always, man's best friend, Devin Hopkins. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine.
Kind of out here later.
It's a little late. I thought we'd be out here earlier, but it's cool.
Hey, but we got to get these in the can.
We got to get them in the can.
We got to get them in the can.
Shove them in the can.
Mm-hmm. And we're not alone this morning. We're not alone.
Call it.
No matter what time it is, we are not alone. We have our friend here coming back to join us in the return to this. It's old Cory McCracken. How are you, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here.
What's McCracken?
Yeah, what's going on with you, pal?
Just excited to be here.
You sound like you're excited to be here. Your voice is packed to the brim with enthusiasm. I think
we all know why we're here.
Yeah. So
we spent the past few hours together.
Yeah, we're all kind of like, it's kind of weird going into this because we've all kind of been just hanging around each other for several hours.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, it's kind of just
we've already gotten the how do you do's out of the way.
Yeah, we've kind of all talked to each other, and it's kind of weird to do the fake fake banter.
Good to see ya.
And as you can tell, I'm definitely feeling it. I think I might need a little bit of cream, if you catch my meaning.
What kind of cream you thinking?
Perhaps
like something like buttery?
A buttery cream would be.
Buttery cream? You know, if there were only like a group of individuals, they could supply that for you.
Right.
Wait a minute.
You mean like a gang?
Yes. Some sort of ButterCream Gang.
Okay.
Too bad we can't find one. No, of course, as you can tell from the episode title, that you may be asking yourself, what the hell is a ButterCream Gang?
Well, we're here to answer that burning question.
Sure. Or you might be already familiar with it. I think over
the real ones are. The real ones know what the ButterCream Gang
Well,
is.
I feel like in the past few years, I feel like there's been like a very small resurgence of this movie on the internet where people are kind of remembering, oh yeah, I remember watching this movie as a kid, and then revisiting it and then kind of just realizing like, whoa, what was this? What was this movie? What was this
masterpiece?
Who was it for? Why did they make it?
Yeah. So yes, the ButterCream Gang. It was a straight to video release in 1992. But before we get into the details, let's get real personal. How about that? So I mean, Cory, I feel like you and our relationship, it's very hot and heavy now, but we really only started talking to each other maybe like a year ago.
Yeah, that's right.
And we saw each other at shows and stuff, but I feel like one of the first things that was really brought up between us was this movie.
I'm gonna have to take your word for that because I don't remember.
Well, I've agreed.
If it's something that you remember, then yes.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's something I remember is that it was sort of like.
I remember this getting brought up and me mentioning, "Oh yeah, I've seen that." And then you said you had it.
Here's the thing to me is,
and you were the only two people on this planet that I know that have both seen that movie.
I make it a point to bring the ButterCream Gang up every single day. Like I make it a point, like at least one time a day I have to speak of the cream.
Mm-hmm. Scott.
Yes.
Eldon.
Yeah, that fucking bitch.
Other guy.
Other guy, we don't know his name.
The fat guy, and of course old Pete.
A good old Pete.
So I mean, why did this movie? How did this movie come into your life?
Okay, this movie came into my life. My sister is a couple years older than I am, and she took it from her fourth grade teacher, who in turn ended up being my fourth grade teacher a couple of years later. And but that's just like one of those like small world kind of fucking things. And
right.
Yeah, no, my sister took it, and I remember us watching it, you know, and just being like, "The fuck is this?" You know. And then later on, like in my earlier 20s and stuff like that, it was I'd hook up the VCR and we would all like, you know, get drunk as fuck and watch like the ButterCream Gang or some fucking obscure VHS that I had.
Right.
You know. But it had been a while since I watched it before today. Like it was a good watch. I was glad we went back.
Excuse me. My allergies.
I get it. You were talking about them earlier, man.
But yeah, the whole Devin, you said that you didn't know about this movie until
you showed me this about a year and a half ago when we used to live together, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" You said you didn't watch this in school,
right.
And I was like, and then I watched like, all right, this is totally a movie they would have like pushed the old cart with the old TV.
Yeah, and that is exactly the same verbiage. Like going online and kind of like looking into like
that's how most
that's the memories from this movie is really that. I guess there's more specific memories of people like, I had this at home. Or
what grade did you watch it in? Because we both went to like Myrtle Beach for pretty much all of school. Was this before you went to Myrtle Beach?
It was before I went to Myrtle Beach schools, but I didn't watch it at school. I watched it at a like an after school thing.
Okay,
I had to go to after school stuff because my mom worked late, and
gotcha.
And I remember being the only one paying attention to this movie. And I think that's why it stuck with me personally so long, is because I feel like as a kid I was exposed to more adult drama than probably the average child. Like you know, I and not really like good like adult drama, but
just
I mean
like daytime TV,
not daytime TV, like movies like What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Steel Magnolias is one. Fried Green Tomatoes, just shit like that, where it's very dramatic, but also like feel good. And this movie has that sort of feeling. In a way.
It goes for it.
Yeah, it's very dramatic.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be very feel good, and sort of like, it's about helping a friend.
Yeah, it's supposed to show you like it's supposed to have like a moral to it, I guess.
Yeah, and there was baseball.
Yeah,
sure.
What's more important than baseball?
Absolutely nothing.
No,
but
Christ.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, absolutely.
Not according to the fucking.
Not according to the preacher.
Yeah, the minister would argue
minister,
that.
Like coached the team. Didn't think so.
But with the whole, with the whole dramatic thing with it, and it being sort of what it is, I guess the drama thing, it being like a group of kids, and it was like almost like the Goonies.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I think like the zeitgeist focuses on like a group of kids. I mean, think more recently with like Stranger Things.
Right.
Like it's a group of kids doing shit.
That's like
the It movie when they remade that, and of course the Goonies. And I feel like
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me is another. Yeah.
You know, there's a bunch of those.
It was like that was like the bit like the '80s thing, really, and this was '92, so they were kind of just like, we can get in on this,
right?
And
I just can't. I mean, one thing I'll say is the fucking fashion in this fucking movie.
Oh yeah, it's
top notch.
Top notch.
It just like brings me back to like, like just. I don't know. It's good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
But yeah, and also the Pete character was he's a very dark and and lost person, and I feel like all of us at times sort of feel lost. Like he gives the monologue later where he's talking to Scott about it's like sometimes it feels like he's riding his bike, but he doesn't know where he's going.
Right.
And I think we all feel like that.
We all feel like that. And you know what? We all need a Scott.
You know, you take a left and you take another left and then you're fucking lost.
Right.
And sometimes we all need a Scott to just, not try to change us, but just be there. Just be there and listen and accept.
Yeah. So a lot of the themes with the ButterCream Gang, if you look at where the town of Elk Ridge that this is based in, there's obviously it's a community and there's a huge sense of community. Everyone kind of knows each other. There's a unity thing with everyone knows the ButterCream Gang and their good doings, and
right. There's like a long town history of a ButterCream Gang always being around to.
Didn't they say it was started in the 1920s or something?
Yes, apparently in the film, the origins of the ButterCream Gang dates back into the origins of the town of Elk Ridge, where the minister gathered teenage boys to churn the butter of the widows, which apparently the Elk Ridge is there's at least 5-to-1 fucking widows in this town. I mean, of course, the famous Widow Jenkins that we'll soon talk about in this, who's always she's always horizontal.
Walk much.
Yeah, really. So, but so you have this nice clean town. You have these nice clean nice clean white boys in this nice clean white town who are doing things. Not necessarily. They're children. They're not.
They're middle school age.
Something
like that.
Yeah. It's kept very ambiguous, but you can imagine maybe middle school.
I would say middle
7th, 8th grade.
So you have them doing good, and it's sort of implied sometimes that doing a good deed. It takes a lot of work, and sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but they do it because it's the right thing.
Right.
And that's what this really movie is about, doing the right thing. And the main idea from this movie is that no good deed goes unrewarded. I mean, the minister says that in the sermon. It's a point that is frequently brought up to Scott, and it's also a thing that is discussed in this book that, let's go back to 1820, where a 14-year-old John Smith was praying in the woods, and he was asking God, which church should he join? And down out of thin air, God and Jesus Christ came before him and told him, John Smith, that he was going to be their prophet. And eventually he was visited by another angel who had buried these golden plates that had scripture on it from the ancient civilizations of the old Americas that brought it was a New Testament of Jesus Christ. And this would be called the Book of Mormon. And the unity and community and doing good deeds and doing the right thing, these are all big ideas that come from the Book of Mormon. And of course, if you know about the whole culture of Mormonism now, it's sort of all migrated to Utah.
So I was about to say, do you think this takes place in Utah?
I don't think it does, but if you guys remember at the beginning of the film, and hopefully the listeners at home will watch this film,
which is on YouTube.
Yes, you can watch it for free
in entirety,
or come over to my house and we can watch it on VHS.
The first thing you see is Feature Films for Families Presents, and this is a studio based in Utah, owned by Forrest S. Baker III, who also wrote the ButterCream Gang.
I know. I reckon. I
was
remember.
I remember that
producer.
In the credits.
Yeah.
Yep. And is a man of the Mormon faith, and that's sort of what this movie is, and what Feature Films for Families it's a whole library of films.
I would love to deep dive.
Do we
that
have to?
library,
Is there the FF for F cinematic
more?
Universe here?
You mean there's a Marvel Mormon?
Not only is there more, there's some that Devin and I, more specifically, there's one in particular that we have encountered before.
Is it Brother Future?
And we have encountered when I was a young child. Yes, Brother Future.
I just remember because it had the same energy.
Right.
Yes.
Fuck, man, I'm late to the game. I need to.
So if you're like Cory and not familiar with Brother Future, essentially, or just real quick,
we've touched on it on an episode. I think.
So Brother Future is also a tale about doing the right thing and knowing your history and where you come from. So it stars Phil Lewis, who maybe some of you may know as Mr. Mosby from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, where, what is it?
He's like the
running
manager.
In my lobby or whatever.
He's the manager of the hotel, essentially.
Okay.
And it was Phil Lewis plays a character he's in Chicago, which
another tie-in.
Chicago.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to
the fucking guy that makes these movies hates Chicago.
I know. I didn't want to ruin your spiel.
Phil Lewis and the character Pete from the ButterCream Gang, they go to Chicago, or Phil Lewis, the character Phil Lewis is playing, is from Chicago, and they're both corrupted by the big city culture and the pressures of the demonic life that is led there. And so Phil Lewis's character, steals radios and VCR players, and then one day is
like a pretty cool guy.
Well, one day he's knocked out and he is basically in a coma, but in his coma he is entered in a dream state where he goes back in time to the 1800s and is in Charleston, South Carolina, and has to live a few months as a slave on a plantation. And he sort of learns the lessons of not taking things for granted, and it's a very strange
film.
Also on YouTube.
Yeah, also on YouTube.
I don't know if WindleyMania is going to touch on it any further than this, but it exists. It is part of the feature films for families family. And feature films for families.
Cory's got a bewildered look on his face.
I'm gonna go watch this.
You need to watch this.
I'm gonna go watch this.
It's definitely like something that's like, why was this made?
I know that sounds like just like what the fuck.
Now I'm not sure if feature films for families exist anymore. It does exist in a couple capacities. Excuse me. There is a Facebook page that promotes their streaming service, which is familyfilmsonline.com. It's $8 a month. And of course you could, yes. And of course you could watch great films. The classic, The Velveteen Rabbit, the classic that we're going to be diving into more today, The ButterCream Gang, Brother Future. There's also Wiener Dog Nationals, Station Jim. I liked that name. Mayor Cupcake. And apparently I was looking through the Facebook of the feature films for families and sort of looking at the discourse about the films the studio puts out. And apparently No More Baths is somewhat of a classic when it comes to their library.
More Baths?
I don't know what it's about, but maybe we'll check out.
No More Baths?
No More Baths.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, I was looking into this feature films for families, and I was trying to dive around what this whole company was. And of course it was a film studio. It was owned by Forrest S. Baker III. I forgot what his typical background is, but it is not the motion picture business. There's also a very interesting find. I was kind of confused at first. There was job reviews for working here on Indeed.com.
Indeed.
Yeah. But the thing was, it wasn't about key grips or stage hands or anything. It was all these people were writing about working at their call center. And it was a bunch of telemarketers.
What?
And there wasn't anything really specific in the reviews. It was just sort of like normal job stuff. Like, yeah, it was a fine job. Managers, can be assholes, whatever. But I looked a little further, and it turns out that in 2011, the Federal Trade Commission sued feature films for families, Family Films of Utah, and Corporations of Character, all owned by Forrest S. Baker III, and alleged they had violated the Do Not Call Registry Act.
Ooh. Oh,
yep.
So
good.
The Do Not Call Registry, I signed up for it too.
You can just get on there and put your phone number in.
Telemarketers will stop calling you, but
they still call you.
But apparently they had made 16 million calls to people on this list. Jeez. Here's an excerpt from an article.
I thought he was going to start reading all of the names.
This is from Tom Harvey of the Salt Lake Tribune. They offered consumers 2 free DVD movies and requested feedback on whether they should be on the Kids First recommended list. However, according to the Federal Trade Commission's Corporations for Characters representatives did not disclose that those who accepted the offer will be called back to try to sell them additional movies. And it was this whole campaign called the Kids First thing, and apparently there was involved with a nonprofit group called the Coalition for Quality in Children's Media, right. And apparently all the film or all the money that was going to go from the DVD sales, a big portion of that was going to go to this nonprofit group, but it turned out that none of the money did.
Of course.
Classic.
And so that's basically what this guy, it doesn't seem like it exists anymore outside of this sort of.
Did you check to see if Dude Man is still alive?
I couldn't really find much information about him at all.
Yeah, I will hire a PI right now.
However, I was
thinking it was going to lead to him using all the money for some
shady
shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to dive into this more.
Someone's got to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. There was someone on Reddit.com worked for him, and he was basically wrote code or something, and he interacted with Forrest S. Baker III, and it just seemed like he was just any other business owner, but without any super scandals. There were rumors about him having mistresses and whatnot, but aside from that, there wasn't really anything deep. He had a son who was Forrest S. Baker IV.
Of course. Why the fuck would it be anything else?
Asshole?
The guy,
why would it not be?
The guy who made the coding guy said he worked with him, and he was a nice guy but obnoxious apparently.
You know who my dad is?
Yeah, so is everybody else. So.
My dad made ButterCream Gang.
Yeah, so he wrote this film. It was directed by Bruce Nabar. And previously, they both worked on this other movie called In Your Wildest Dreams.
I thought he was going to say Terminator.
And that was also a F Quattro release.
Cinematic universe.
Both of these, and Forrest S. Baker III wrote the screenplay as well for In Your Wildest Dreams. And I when I think about this movie, I haven't seen In Your Wildest Dreams, but I sort of get the idea from the description of it. Essentially, this kid lucks into some money, but that money was supposed to be for this local business that was essential to the community. So he had this moral question whether to keep the money for himself or give the money back so the community could flourish. Another big
do the right
thing community. But when you look more into this film, the ButterCream Gang, of course, it's in a very white, clean area, very small town. It kind of makes you, I feel like ideas and of course stories all come from whether you're kind of aware of it or not, the most deepest depths of your consciousness. And I feel like, and it's probably intended as well, that the ButterCream Gang in the town of Elk Ridge is sort of a reflection of Forrest S. Baker III's ideal,
like suburban, like
this is his Zion.
This is how it should be.
This is his Zion.
Yeah, the gangs around there are like helping people,
right?
Instead of
which Zion was the town that John Smith tried to construct with people who followed him, and there ended up being the Mormon Wars,
Mormon massacre. I get it.
They were exiled from Missouri. Now, I guess we can sort of get into this whole thing. Someone is playing drums. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts before we really deep dive into
thoughts as far as
like the Mormon faith, anything?
See, I don't know much about. The only thing I know about the Mormons is what I've learned from South Park. Right. No, that is like the complete, honest, fucking truth.
Now, have you ever watched the show Sister Wives?
No, never even heard of it.
It's about a family.
Oh yeah, I forgot they were Mormon.
Are in Utah.
That's like the biggest thing.
They're members. They are Latter-day Saints, and it's mainly a show that like focuses on the polygamy side of the whole thing. And oddly, I'm kind of curious if there is a
polygamy movie in this cinematic universe,
because I feel like, especially nowadays, there's a lot of
like inclusion.
Yeah, there's a strive for inclusion. So I wonder maybe
they've probably got a movie where like
Forrest S. Baker III was like, hey,
kids have to see this type of family.
Yeah, what do I do?
Feel okay.
What do I do if my mom and my other mom are in a fight? So yeah, so let's get into this.
All I know is the Aquabats are Mormons too, and they're cool. So
now, this is a gang.
Yeah, they don't fuck around.
They don't fuck around. They will drop what they are currently doing
to
go do their gang
baseball
shit.
Practice early without the coach's permission to go handle business.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's definitely shown. What I could tell from you're sort of just thrown into this whole situation with the ButterCream Gang.
Oh yeah, it dives right in like immediately.
You're born a buttercreamer. I mean,
yeah, when you enter this world, you are immediately a buttercreamer.
Yeah,
it's sort of.
They say that more than once.
Nice crack.
They say buttercreamer more than once.
Yeah, that's what you are. If you are a part of the gang, you are a buttercreamer.
You are one who buttercreams. That's what that means.
I feel like Pete is sort of a really good representation of. Well, I mean, he's a really good reflection of this one gangster named Lucky Luciano, who was based out of Chicago. Actually, I think he did some stuff in New York as well, but he was based out of Chicago, where he founded. There was this thing called the Commission, where it was basically all the big capos all formed together, and it was more democratic. There wasn't a boss of all bosses. There was a
Senate.
There was like 2 in Chicago and like 5 in New York, or it was like spread out in a certain way. And yeah, it was very democratic. And the buttercreamers are very democratic. You can see that they take votes. There really isn't any pressure.
It opens with a vote.
Yeah, it opens with a vote.
It opens with a vote, but then at one point in time, in the middle of the fucking movie, Dude Man goes to vote, and his vote just doesn't even count. He's like, "Yo, I'm out."
Well, I feel like it did work. He just left. Pete was voting himself out of the ButterCream.
Yeah, they should have just left him alone and let him do his gang shit.
So this starts in the tree house of the buttercreamers.
More like a tree platform.
Yes, a tree platform. There's no
roof.
There's no shelter.
Yeah.
So it's just wood. There, and you stand on it. There's no roof or anything.
Yeah, they don't
There's
really.
The platform. Yeah. Pete. There's Pete, there's Scott, there's Eldon,
and there's Sarge over there.
Yeah.
You know?
And that guy's gonna listen to this podcast and be like, "Oh my god, you
Big Dog."
There's hey, there's the big.
you don't even know my name."
That's old Slugger, you know.
So Pete is at this point for a few short seconds is the leader of the ButterCream Gang. He is the top buttercreamer.
Yeah.
He is the creamiest.
He's the cream. He's the cream of the crop.
Exactly.
He's risen to the top.
He is going to leave the town of Elkridge and he's going to go to Chicago to live with his aunt, and because she's all alone with 2 boys. And so he nominates Scott as
The leader.
Of the Buttercreamers. They all voted on it. Scott is now the leader of the ButterCream Gang. Scott, or Pete does give him advice though, is, Buttercreamers, it's about helping people, but it's about having fun too.
Yeah.
And there is a lot to be fun. I feel like, so the first thing you're really shown, the first thing the Buttercreamers do, their first mission you kind of witness is them having fun.
Yeah.
Is them going to a bunch of 5-year-old girls and jump roping.
Yeah, and then this is kind of where the whole Eldon being the butt of every potential size joke you could potentially have, because the game's called Earthquake, and they're like, "Eldon, get in there!"
Right.
And
Get your fat ass in there.
He's jumping, and then everyone falls down. Earthquake, because he's the biggest.
Yeah, he's very large. I don't think he's as. Here's the thing.
The other
guy is
that we couldn't
fat.
name is bigger.
Yeah.
Right. Here's what I'm saying, and I wanted to bring this up. I love that, like any other movie you watch, there's always one fat guy. In this movie, there's 2 fat guys.
Yeah, but one is.
That's why you and Andrew connect with this so much.
Okay, so yeah, we're the 2. Which one's Eldon?
You're Eldon.
Oh wow.
I'm dude, man.
I'm
homeboy.
He's just sort of faceless. He's not really.
Yeah, no, he has nothing. Like
He's just
his
sort of
parents
there.
just paid for half of the production or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can you just let my son in the movie, please?
He doesn't really do. I hate to say it. He doesn't really do a lot.
No, he doesn't do shit, dude. And that's why we don't know his name.
And without him, it's already messy enough that for the majority of the movie, the ButterCream Gang is only 3 people, really. And I feel like it'd be just really messy if they were just Eldon and Scott. Like, that's not really a gang.
They could have had that. They could have had
2
the
guys.
Well, having the lame. The chick
Just
with
a
the
couple
glasses.
weirdos.
Yeah.
The chick with the glasses kind of creates there's a girl.
You mean the
kind of
great
sort of
value
thing.
Topanga?
But,
Yeah. So, let's see. So yeah, Pete is gone to Chicago. He is exchanging letters with Scott. Scott is sending him letters. They're very lovely letters.
Yeah.
I know.
I've been thinking about
But they're
you.
kind of they're like, "My dearest Pete, war is hell.
What is that?
I long for your return. Please remember to run the faucets. They will crack in the winter."
Yeah.
So we see Pete's adventures in Chicago, and he's ignoring Scott's letters.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's
He's made a couple of new friends.
sort of starting his own gang.
I think he was falling into a gang.
Mm-hmm.
He says he had no choice.
But he took over because, at one point in time, all the other members of the gang are wearing black bandanas in Chicago, and he's wearing the only red one.
Yeah.
So it's
He's the red leader.
that's what I'm saying. It's he fell into it, but somehow he's the leader. All these fucking goons are following him around, but he was forced to do this.
Yeah. So Pete, I guess, is sort of naturally a leader. He doesn't have any parents.
And his aunt is too kind to remind him of that.
Yes, his aunt.
I know if your parents were still alive.
If your parents were still alive, they'd be so proud of you.
So proud of you. So it's really interesting though, because there's a lot of male role models in this.
Yeah.
There's the minister who's also the baseball coach. There's Scott's dad, who's a war veteran, and there's Mr. Graff, who is the owner of the store, who is also a buttercreamer at one point in time.
Don't forget Homeboy's dad,
Which one's dad?
Rob Earnhardt.
Yeah,
Well, that's Scott's dad.
Oh, that's
Scott's dad. Looks,
Oh, I forgot. See, I forgot he said he was in the war.
Did
and
we
shit, 'cause
say-
when he said war veteran, I was like, oh, what?
yeah, Scott's dad, who is played by Robin Williams and Dale Earnhardt's love child.
Yes.
Also, by the way, Pete looks like Paul Rubens Jr.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He's sort of unhinged like a Pee Wee Herman as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's obsessed with that bike.
Yeah, he is obsessed with the bike, much like Herman.
I just pictured dude, man, when he's running, throwing the newspapers because he doesn't have a bike anymore. What a fucking loser, dude.
Douchebag.
Like,
What a loser.
he's like, yeah, my bike rack got expanded. I don't have a bike anymore.
So, but all these male role models, but Pete kind of grew up with a lack of sort of like a centered, like male role model. Besides his grandfather,
His
but it doesn't-
grandfather's around, but his grandfather seems to have just been like,
His grandfather
I don't know
seems-
what's wrong with the boy.
Yeah, right? You saw him in like, what, 2 seconds of the movie?
He seems very distant from Pete. So it seems like a mixture of, you know, Pete not having a mother and a father, which I mean that's one of the
You kinda
things
need
in,
those if you're a kid,
Mormon. Well,
most of the
in the Mormon belief, you know, it's very much you need to have a mother and a father.
And a father,
But
and
he-
a mother, and a father.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, you know, he doesn't have both ever. He has sort of his grandfather, who I guess, you know, his grandfather's like 90, so he doesn't really have like, it's sort of an out of touch sort of communication with him. And then his aunt, who is a single mother as well. And I think that's what Old Forrest was trying to, and plus that mixing with the corruption of the big city and all of its evil. Big cities, you know, they you know, what the hell has the world come to when, you know, they're corrupting the poor boy's mind and making him wear red bandanas and doing stuff in alleyways.
The leather jackets, the greasy hair.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's not right. Also, yeah, that is what Pete's new gang looks like. They look like, you know, your stereotypical bad guys in any, like, you know, given situation. Like, you think of a bad guy that's like in a city. That's what his new gang looks like.
Yeah, there's a Stevie Ray Vaughan looking
There's a
guy.
Stevie Ray Vaughan guy. Pete's the tank top guy, by the way. He's a tank top guy with the blue jeans and the slicked back hair.
I think the fashion choices in this movie were fucking stupendous. Everybody was rocking it.
Oh, they should have got a fucking, you know, Emmy for like makeup.
I
and
mean, like
costumes.
the bad guys look like bad guys, and then the good guys look like fucking dweebs.
Yeah, like the, you know, the ButterCream Gang. They're like jean shorts that are like knee-length, rolled up.
Which is like what my mom used to do when she's like, "Oh yeah, we're going to Kmart and shit," and she'd be wearing the same exact thing, like jean shorts, like rolled up and shit, and I'm just like. And I see these fucking kids wearing it, and I'm like, oh man, that kind of brings me back. You know, just nostalgia kind of thing.
Striped shirts.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think there was like a professional sports team that wasn't represented in some way. That stuck out to me.
Yeah, there was a lot of fucking.
You couldn't pinpoint.
They
Like,
couldn't. You don't know who was rooting for who.
There was like there
at
was
one
a
point in time-
49ers hat.
Yeah.
There was a Cubs hat. There was a Bears hat. There was
Yeah.
a Yankees hat. There was like
dude's wearing like a 49ers hat, wearing a Notre Dame sweatshirt. It's just like, what's going on here, man?
yeah. Well, yeah, it was like a Georgetown, which not our Georgetown. But
Yeah, I
think,
know, that'd
like,
be awesome.
I
No.
think, you know, where's that, like close to DC or something?
Oh, I have no idea.
But-
I just know they have a good basketball team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's found out that Pete had been expelled from school. His love of gangs and gang shenanigans overcame his
His straight A's.
His straight A's.
He had straight A's.
He did. He reported in his letters that he had straight A's, but now he'd
fallen victim
to gangs
to gangs.
and gang violence.
Stop responding and
not wholesome gangs.
Which we find what the gang violence is later, you know.
Yes.
Pretty gruesome stuff that this gang was doing.
Well, it's very quick how this happens.
That's what I did enjoy. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's the one thing I did enjoy about the movie is it's a nonstop action.
They get to the fucking point.
It's fucking. It's not a lot of filler.
No. Every decision was executed with pinpoint precision, planned years in advance. But Pete is sent back home pretty much immediately after.
Like 2 months, maybe tops.
Yeah, he's gone for. It doesn't seem very long, but
maybe it's longer than we think.
Well, that's the thing is like they don't necessarily like get into specifics how long he was gone, but they try to do like a montage of like the one dude writing him letters and it's like, you haven't written back and all this shit. Yeah. I'm just worried about you, but it's like, are you sending these like every 2 days? Like, you know,
I think it's been maybe like it's somewhere between like 3 and 6 months that he was gone, and then he ends up coming back pretty quick.
Because I don't remember like a season's changing kind of like.
Well, they were saying like, is school already out or something like that?
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, see, look at you. Yeah.
They said like, is school already out in Chicago? And they're like, I don't know.
He's like, no, I fucking killed a guy and I'm back.
Pete does return back to the town of Elk Ridge.
And he acts like he was gone forever. He's like, I remember working here. Yeah. It's like, bro, you were just fucking here like 3 weeks ago.
They still got my statue up in that place.
You're still on the schedule.
He's returned. He's dressed differently. The Buttercreamers are sort of like, that's odd that our pal Pete is
dressing different.
He's dressing differently. And he's kind of got like,
he's talking a little different.
Yeah, he is. I feel like Pete always, of course, the natural leader thing. He's always had sort of like a charm.
Swagger.
But now, yeah, I think now there's an added layer of swagger. He's been exposed to something that these innocent Buttercreamers have not really. I mean, not in the town of Elkridge at all. I mean, it's a lot of white people.
Yeah, they ain't seen Big Dick Pete yet.
Yeah. So
Big Dick Pete comes in swinging.
Yep.
Pete, they go back. I used to work here at this fucking.
I remember the good old days
at Graff's Mercantile, and this is where Pete
his bad ways.
He brings his bad ways with him. Yes, yeah. Devin. He steals shoelaces from.
He doesn't steal shoelaces. He steals candy bars.
Yeah, he asks where the shoelaces are. So he can kind of like, have a reason to be back there looking like he's looking.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he stole shoelaces.
He asked where they were.
He asked where they were just to you'd be like, hey, should point me in the direction of the candy bars and on the way,
Right.
And then he's like, yeah, you didn't have any neon colors.
Yeah. You know what? Let me know when you get them in. Hey, Pops, it's all right. And then like he walks out and he fucking
within eye shot of the
I know that's
counter.
the thing. They weren't even like 2 feet away from the store,
and he's like
they were just out the front door.
He's pulling them out of his pockets.
They were like king size. Well, because I thought they were shoelaces, and they were how shoelaces are.
No, there's candy bars.
Yeah, so I guess they were like the king size ones.
Yeah,
fit for a fucking king. I got you a payday, Eldon.
Yeah.
Well, where's my other payday?
Where's my milkshake? Pete is very. I mean, he's bad.
He's a bad man.
He's
bad
now.
Egg.
He's corrupted. He's breaking into Scott's room in the middle of the night to
look at him sensually.
Yeah, tell him about commercials.
Yeah, what did he say?
Something about an old lady was on her back like a turtle and she couldn't get up.
It was the Life Alert commercial.
Yeah. I'm falling and I can't get up.
Yeah,
and he was like making fun of her. He's like, look at this fucking R word.
It's weird because like that the situation with the widow Jenkins, is a lady who can't get up. And Pete is making fun of that situation, a situation they have to deal with, it seems like almost daily. Yeah. Where this woman's fallen over. And now Pete is blatantly mocking it. And Scott kind of just goes along with it. I don't think it's really like he's just glad to see his buddy Pete again.
Yeah. He doesn't see. He's kind of like uncomfortably laughing.
Yeah, they're like something's not right about Pete, but they don't want to believe that. They're like, oh, we got Pete back.
What does Pete say when like because Scott's like talking to his dad, and he's like, oh, I'm just worried about Pete. He's come back and he's just kind of different.
Yeah, there's a key line that Scott says where he says, Pete's always done crazy things to get attention.
Yeah, that's it. And then he comes in and like Pete turns the light on and he's laying on Scott's bed.
Yeah.
And I forgot what like his opening line is, but he's just like, thanks for covering for
Daddy's
me.
home.
Yeah. Scott had a conversation with his dad about, he was, not sure about what's going on with Pete. And he didn't say that Pete stole the candy, but he was like, well, maybe I'll ask him.
Right.
If he stole the candy.
Well, no, he admitted to the fact that he thought that he stole it.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, son, if you think he stole the candy, then you either got to pay for it or give it back.
Right.
That's exactly what he says.
Everyone's concerned with Pete.
Right.
Including the females of Elk Ridge. They sort of jokingly form the ButterCreamettes, which and they kind of task themselves with like spying on Pete,
doing more than the regular ButterCream Gang.
Yeah, no, for real. Honestly, can we give them a little bit of
They
fucking
need some
love
props.
right now? Like, yeah, for real. Good
And
point.
yeah, like, and because Scott goes to her, the chick, and he's like, you got those files you were looking at about the gangs.
Yes, Margaret.
Yes,
who
Margaret.
is
The town fucking annoyance.
yeah. Well, it's sort of like
I guess I'm invisible.
yeah. I guess like it builds to sort of Scott's love interest, but Scott is like blatantly disrespectful to her. And Margaret eventually just goes with it, and
I'm into this.
Yeah, there's several occurrences where Scott, he throws the newspaper, he fucking bumps into her, and she's like, "What am I, invisible?" Like, yeah,
Yeah, bitch, I didn't see you.
He's like, sorry, didn't see you there.
yeah, and
let me know when you grow a pair of tits.
she is. She's sort of taking a lot of the brunt action when it comes to Pete, as far as like investigating, like what is going on with this child.
And what's the ButterCreams doing? They're planting flowers.
Yeah, so
There's trash.
There's a montage with the song.
There's one of like 3 montages.
Right.
There's like 3 montages. There's the. No, you go ahead.
Skipping, yeah, no.
I got him.
Andrew's already got it.
He's got
planned,
the.
I'm sure.
I forgot the order of the montages.
Well, this one was basically Pete was like just committing random crimes while the Buttercreamers were
doing good
picking up.
deeds.
They were like doing good things, like picking up after him. Like he would like tear some shit up, and they would clean it up.
It was funny, like the Pete's gang, the evil things that they would do. They were kicking kids off off the seesaw.
Yeah.
And there's a line, "Hey, teeter-totter yourself."
Yeah.
And the one is just like, because there's 3 of them, so one of them has to
one of them
sit
is just
out,
sitting on
and
one of them by
fucking Pete,
himself.
and he's just like, yeah, I'm the leader. And it's like, nah, man, there's just not, you don't have somebody to seesaw with.
Yeah.
There's only 3 of you.
It's just so funny because they're like so bad and like, they're acting like so tough and shit, and they're just like they're bullying fucking like kindergartners.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
they're taking the seesaw from them. It's like, yeah, we're the bad guys.
Now
we throw bottles on the
Hide
train
your
tracks.
fucking wives.
Here's a question I have. Pete is doing bad things, but he's not doing these bad things alone. Yet the whole town and the Buttercreamers and the ButterCreamettes, they're all focused on Pete. Now, why do they not investigate these other 2 goons?
That's because you want to get rid of the source. If these guys weren't a problem before, They're being influenced by this.
Well,
guy.
do you think maybe they were? I mean, or do you think do you think Pete?
I don't know. That seemed pretty fucking lame.
I think it's just because I think that, and also like they know Pete. They know this isn't Pete. They're like, come on, Pete.
No.
The two goons?
No, I think the whole town.
The whole
knows.
town.
Well, why? Well, what about these other two guys? Do you think that these guys are influenced by Pete and weren't
These two
bad
guys
beforehand?
know Pete too, as well. Probably it's a small.
Well, everyone knows
town.
Pete.
So it's like, okay, Pete comes up to you and is like, "Hey, man, you want to like do some petty crimes?"
It would depend. I mean, if he gave me like one of those like riveting monologues about,
I hate myself. No, I'm just kidding. I had to fucking ruin it. He's gonna edit that out.
it made the feedback thing go haywire when you did that. But I'm just wondering, like, either these two guys are heavily influenced by Pete, or they were already nuisances to begin with, and the town of Elkridge sort of kind of like is fine with that because they weren't maybe that big troublemakers,
right?
And they're
Also,
like, well, the world needs ditch diggers as well. I mean,
there's
somebody
no-
shit in the urinal again. It was probably fucking.
Usually in these movies like this that we talked about earlier, like Stand By Me, Stranger Things, there's usually like some sort of like authority figure in place, like
You need a leader,
like a teacher or I don't know. Oh, maybe a police officer.
Did we see any cops in this
There's
whole
no
fucking-
police officer in this movie.
That is true. There are no cops.
There's no cops. There's no like town official.
Yeah,
There's
it's the minister and Mr. Graff mainly.
Yeah, there's usually like a mayor or a cop or like a teacher or some sort of adult in the neighborhood or town that's just like
I didn't even
that
realize
tries to
this.
like
Yeah, no, you're
that's
right.
like someone's got to do something about them, but there's not. They're just kind of like, I guess the Buttercream Gang is the fucking law.
Yeah, they are.
They
I
are the
guess
law.
they are.
They call the Buttercream Gang when
Because this
anything
is
happens.
Zion. This Elkridge is Zion. It is the ideal town that John Smith was trying to create with his followers. That's what this is.
Where the worst thing that could possibly happen is old widow Jenkins falls and can't get up.
The widows need to be
Widows
taken care
Which
of.
I'm
get
saying,
up.
once they lifted her up, she was healthy.
She was like,
no.
She was fine.
She's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Actually,
no,
can
no,
you guys
that
go
was
to the
a- that
fucking
was a healthy
store?
old
I need some
lady
stuff
right
from
there.
the store for if you guys
Yeah.
are gonna help.
Yeah.
You know?
She got up and she was on that. She had a walker, but she was like hauling ass.
Yeah,
on that
no,
thing.
Yeah.
did you? No,
She was
I
jogging
didn't
with the
buy that for
walker.
a second. Like, no.
I need a strapping young lad.
Can you help me up to the bedroom?
Oh, I've fallen on the bed.
Come on. What's his name?
Eldon. Oh, come, Eldon. Give me that buttercream. I know you're the creamiest.
Andrew's like, God damn it, if I cut all this.
This is a different. We watched different versions of the movie. I think
Yeah,
this
right?
is what happened in the one I watched.
We watched the ButterCream Gang.
So Margaret is she visits the Buttercream Gang and she's blatantly told to fuck off by Eldon, but she wants to get a word in with Scott and she's like, hey, I helped you with this whole Pete thing. Now it's time to fucking pay up. I want you to take me to the dance. And Pete is around the corner and hears this whole exchange about, this Margaret is involved and Scott's got Margaret spying on me. So they bully the goons and Pete are on bikes circling around Margaret, sort of bullying her. And this is sort of one of the first confrontations between Scott and Pete where, Scott and the Buttercreamers and really the whole town are kind of just like puzzled at Pete and whatnot. But now it's sort of like they're witnessing like, oh my, this is like,
This is bad. This is worse than we thought.
yeah, he's like yelling about the geek girl and stuff. And that's pretty much, it's sort of
Scott
like a
like
standoff.
Scott sees it when he's doing his paper route and he stares at it for like literally 2.5 minutes. And then he's
Yeah.
like, Oh, I should do something.
Was this before the game?
What game?
The baseball.
Oh
game.
yeah. So
this is
the
before
next thing that
baseball
happens
game.
is the dance where
Oh, okay, yeah.
Scott and Margaret are at the dance.
It is.
There's a DJ who's like, "Oi, everybody on the dance floor, you're gonna fucking do the jig."
This is the only semblance of any diversity in the film.
Yeah, and
is
it
this
is-
British DJ in
Get
this?
a couple fingers in your lover. Yeah.
We drank some tea.
Pete commits an act of terrorism at the dance.
Quite literally, yes.
Yeah, he throws a firecracker
This is
at
where
Margaret.
This is where police should have been involved,
Right.
but they weren't, of course.
Instead, dude man chased him down like
Yeah.
fucking.
Yeah, and
Because the cream is the law.
so essentially, Scott again confronts Pete, and Pete challenges him to a fight.
A duel,
Now,
if you will. A
Fisticuffs.
this
James.
is
You want to make out?
Yeah.
this is kind of like a weird whole series of events. This like 5 minutes of the movie.
This is like the most intense action packed.
Yeah, because you have the terrorist attack, and then you have the mention of fighting, like fisticuffs.
right.
And immediately after that, like it cuts to church.
Right.
So it's kind of like they
Somebody
were saying,
died.
like you're building up all this stuff, like, oh, this is all rotten, bad stuff, terrorism, fighting, violence. And then literally it's just like, bam, the church. And we're given a sermon that sort of just covers like about loving
Love
all
thy
men.
neighbor.
Yeah, love thy neighbor. And again, the whole theme of the movie, no good deed goes unrewarded, is mentioned in this sermon.
It's all about like being the bigger person. And then then after that he talks to Dale Williams, right?
Who?
Scott.
father.
He talks to his dad, right?
That's a little later.
Oh, it is. I couldn't
The
see. I can't
Vietnam
remember.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, the Vietnam stuff. I thought this was before the fight.
I mean, well,
Oh
he-
yeah. See, we got it.
there is no fight because
Well, the
They're all
quote
touched-
unquote fight.
they're all the Buttercreamers are touched by the word of God, and they
They get touched by the knuckles of fucking Uncle
pastor.
Sal or whatever the fuck his name is.
and they send a they send a white flag to they back like Scott backs out of the fight, and fucking Eldon and send a white flag
Yeah.
to old Pete.
Uncle Pete. Yeah.
And this is where Scott and Pete talk, and Scott challenges Pete to spend a day with him.
Yeah.
And there's another montage with the same song. Do you guys remember how the song went?
It's like
It was like, everybody loving each other.
Yeah, it just sounds
we all
like
need to
this.
see the light.
it kind of just sounds like this the whole time, and it talks about doing good things.
I thought it was a pretty good song.
It is
I
a pretty
mean,
good song. I just can't remember the opening line is just something so generic. But I can't
Pete
remember
and
it.
Scott are hanging out. They're really good friends.
Even if Pete doesn't want to admit it, he really loves hanging out with
Like,
Scott.
is it bad? Like when I was listening to that song, I would like look over at both of you guys.
You feel
and-
good, huh?
No, I would be like, do I need to be associating with these guys? Like this song is about goodness, and I'm hanging out with these heathens.
Is that how you view me?
Yeah, I didn't realize.
After all we've been through?
that, I didn't realize that.
I
you
didn't
felt that
realize
way about
this.
me.
Really just threw me a curveball.
Yeah, well,
How about okay, Corey, I challenge you to spend a whole day with me. We'll go fishing,
Skip rocks.
we'll skip rocks, we'll paint
We'll
some
go-
fences,
We'll go tubing.
we'll confess our deepest, darkest secrets. Maybe
as long as it's a Thursday or a Friday, I'm down.
maybe kiss.
Touch.
Thursday or a Friday.
Yeah, so they hang out, and there's the montage, and Scott and Pete are sort of entered this discussion, and really they're both at polar opposite ends of ideals and stuff. Scott is very optimistic, and he's sort of talking about how people can change.
And you know what?
And Pete is sort of on this thing of like, I people can't change. We are who we are.
Right, I lived in Chicago.
I hate to do this poll right now, but
Right.
it's Luke talking to Darth Vader
Really?
before the big fight. And he's like, "Come on, I know who you are," and he's like, "No, Luke, fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm Darth Daddy."
Just like in Star Wars.
Just like it's literally just like Star Wars, like in every way. This is it's Return of the Jedi. He's like before they have the final fight at the end. He's like they talk it out a little bit and they don't come to any kind of agreement.
This movie is a lot like the Return of the Jedi.
This is Return of the Jedi.
Fucking remember when Darth Vader he was hanging out on like Tatooine, and then he goes to Chicago, and then he's the fucking Sith ruler of the galaxy.
Exactly.
And he's like killing people.
Yeah, he's stealing sea salts from Jawas
Yeah.
and Ewoks. Sorry, yeah, Ewoks was Jedi.
Do you know there was no Jewish people in the ButterCream Gang? There was not one Jewish person in the ButterCream Gang.
You're right.
There's no
one that said hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hi, my name's Scott, and I'm a Jew. There's a guy that says, apparently in a story that says, "Hi, my name's Scott, I'm a Christian."
Yeah,
I know.
and that's the best way to make friends with people, apparently.
But real quick,
Did he say like that's how he like?
well, before we get to that, I just want to point on one thing that Pete did say in his monologue, and he said he did all these things for this clumsy ass town, and he didn't get nothing for it.
You got free sodas.
He's denying the ultimate truth of the movie, that no good deed goes unrewarded. He doesn't have the patience for it. He's not looking for any guidance that he needs. He's lost.
See, that's what happened to Darth Vader. He gave everything to have all the power, but he lost Padme.
Right.
It's the same exact thing.
It's a very astute observation, Devin. The big championship game. Yes.
This is my part. Yeah, dude, I fucking love.
Scott and the Buttercreamers are on a baseball team, and they're in a championship game. There's like a discount Vin Scully who is commentating this.
He's putting his heart out on this fucking commentary.
He's like, "It's a great day for baseball here in Elk Ridge at the park, and today we got a great championship game between
the Braves and the Red Sox.
The Red Sox that features a great lineup featuring some of the Buttercreamers of the town, and Corey's going to step outside when we talk about his favorite part of the movie.
I know, but I gotta pee, dude. You made me laugh.
We'll be right back for the ball game when Corey returns from pissing." Okay, so we are back, and it is the championship game between the Elk Ridge Red Sox and the
Braves.
And you really liked this part, Corey? You like baseball?
No, I hate baseball, but I love Dude Man showing up and heckling the fuck out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That shit made me laugh so hard because it's like, kid got pissed and was like, "Hey man, like you can't be talking shit to me like this." And
It's not just me, it's the whole team.
He's like, "I paid for a fucking ticket."
Yeah, Pete shows up at the ball game and he's heckling, and it's causing Scott to
Fuck up
lose
the whole
focus.
game.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
doing great until he realized
what
Pete
was
was
it,
there.
like 6-0 at
It was
one
like
point?
3-0.
And then it was 6-0.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being like 6-8 in the Braves' favor.
Yeah.
After like in
Yeah,
one
just
inning.
this fucking asshole showing up. And I was saying, he let them get in his heads. And I just laughed at that because he was just like, he's like, "What are you doing, man?" Like he came up to him at the fence. He's like, "You're not supposed to be here." He's like, "I paid." He didn't say this, but in my mind, I picture him just being like, "I paid for a fucking ticket. You can't kick me out of here."
And then Pete's
talked to his
grandfather's
grandfather,
Pete's grandfather's like, "Hey, Scott, stop it!" And then he's like, "This is your fault, old man."
What
and
did
then
I do?
he's like, "What the fuck did I do?" And he's like, "I'm sorry,
It's not your fault.
it's not your fault." And he's like, "Where am I?"
Yeah, after the game, the minister coach takes Scott aside and talks about Gandhi.
Yeah,
some reason.
he starts out like
Which is odd.
he's giving like
Yeah.
the worst like pitches. He's throwing them trash.
He's just fucking
He's
lopping
like,
balls.
he's like, "Hey,
at
let's
him.
hit some balls," and
Oh yeah, those are Corey pitches right there. Corey's never fucking played baseball a day in his life.
Yeah.
And then he like starts out this whole thing like, now son, you ever seen a grown man naked?
No, he talks
what
about
he actually says.
he talks about
He talks like
fucking Gandhi and how like
and
Gandhi.
did you know, son, that England controlled India up until
After the World
long
War II?
after World War II?
Yeah, that's what I was like.
And
This guy
then,
was like, no, what the fuck are you talking about?
And then he's like, Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah.
Are you off your meds, old man?
Yeah, he talks about Gandhi and how he chose nonviolence, although Gandhi did not choose. He chose nonviolence, but he also chose to let his wife die because he didn't trust the medication that when he was contracted with the same disease to take the medication to survive.
Got some
Didn't he
dirt
set
on
himself
Gandhi
on
here.
fire too?
No,
That was a different
guy.
guy. Andrew with the dirt on Gandhi.
Pete's gang snatches up Scott when he's left by himself, and they sort of kidnap him and beat him up. And then Pete and Scott have another confrontation, but Scott still walks away from fighting Pete.
Fucking bitch.
And yeah.
Is this where he has a talk with his dad?
Yeah, so now he's returned home
Yes.
to his wholesome...
Oh wait, he hasn't got his. I don't want to ruin it. Fuck. I'm confusing the when stuff happened. Go on.
Because so
Andrew.
much happens.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm confusing when happened with what. So I'm sorry, Andrew. Go on.
Well, he returns home and he confides in his dad about the ongoings with Pete, and his dad was like, "Well, son,
Well, if he stole the candy bar, then you know.
He just does that again.
pay him back."
We're past
or-
that one, Dad. Oh, well, that's all I got for you, son.
No, he's
I
like,
thought this kid was stealing candy bars. I don't know nothing about no gats.
I didn't know my son was getting his ass kicked.
he says, "Son, I don't talk about the war too much,
Oh,
but there was
That's
this
right.
guy named Scott, and no one liked him." But he would always introduce himself, and he would say, "Hi, I'm Scott, and I'm a Christian." And
Like, no wonder no one liked him.
he talks about, he was a Christian man, and he was always the first to help people, unlike all these non-Christians in the platoon. They didn't give a fuck about anybody but themselves, because those kind of people are selfish. And that guy died, and then it's heavily implied that Scott's dad named Scott after this guy that no one
Yeah.
liked.
like-
So
Set your son up to be a fucking loser.
you know who I named you after, son?
Someone no one
Hitler.
liked.
No one liked him.
But by God, did he believe in what he believed in?
Yeah.
He told everyone about it.
He let everyone know.
so how would you introduce yourself? Like I'd be like, oh, I'm Corey, and instead of being like I'm a Christian, I'm like, oh, I'm Corey, and I have diarrhea.
I guess. Do you have it right now?
I don't think so.
It's not like I had it earlier. It's I have it. I just-
I believe in diarrhea.
Scott talks to Mr. Graff, the owner of the store. They talk about, hey, Mr. Graff, Pete has been stealing from me, or from you. Mr. Graff's, well, I wish you would have told me sooner, but I guess all you can do is forgive and forget and love
You
and
got the $22 plus interest.
and
a lot of fucking candy bars that Dick stole from me.
so there's another
Shit ain't cheap.
Scott gives his bike to Pete.
Yeah, because that was part of the thing that the old man talks about. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if you just give him what he's gonna steal from you, then
I
he
guess
can't, then he can't win.
take it because you gave it to him.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The fuck kind of bitch ass advice is that?
No, that is
That is
definitely
like-
that makes sense. But,
that's even
no, That
worse.
doesn't make sense, but that's literally just like it's like just telling what's gonna happen. It's like, oh yeah, if you give it to him, then he can't steal it. Yeah, no shit. Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Like, oh, you're fucking right.
And the dude was just like, he gives the dude his bike.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to steal it away, but
I don't know. He just gives his bike to. I guess it was implied that Pete was going to eventually steal this bike.
He
did mention how expensive it looked.
Yeah, he
Yeah, no,
brought it
he-
up.
yeah.
Because That was when he thought
Nice
that
bike.
everyone
That's
was
a
talking.
pretty nice bike.
He thought everyone was kind of talking about. He's like, hey, Scott, that's a fucking nice fucking bike you got there. Is that a fucking Huffy? You got a fucking Huffy there? And he's like, oh.
There's another montage with the same fucking song. Everybody loves each other in the light, not a cloud in the sky. Everyone's playing football with Pete, even though he doesn't want to play football tonight. Everyone's a buttercreamer. Everyone's a lover dreamer. Everyone get together. We're gonna have a big gang bang. Now,
That's exactly, that's good.
yeah,
That's
so
what the song is.
they're showing the montage of everyone being nice to Pete, but Pete's still a fucking piece of shit and asshole.
And then Scott's got to do his paper route without his bike.
Yeah,
This is my.
Scott does his paper route without his bike. He's like huffing and puffing and running around. And in the meantime, Pete and his goons are stealing the newspapers from the lawn, and then dump all those newspapers on Scott's lawn.
Yeah.
And Scott comes back to his house and he's just like, "Ah, man, what a fucking long day." He sees all of the papers.
Hey,
right in his
Scott,
lawn.
you forgot something.
Hey, man, you missed a couple of houses,
Hey,
homeboy.
maybe
all
you
these papers, they're gonna be late.
Maybe you should keep your eye on them. Full disclosure, Pete does not talk like he's in The Sopranos.
He
but
does not talk like Andrew Dice Clay.
No, not one bit.
He just kind of talks like a guy.
Yeah, he kind of like, he throws in like I don't know what kind of like,
He has that like early like 90s like teen movie like whininess to him.
yeah.
But he doesn't, he's not like,
He's
what's
not-
in the bowl, bitch?
He's not fucking,
Like,
he's
doing
not
that
Polly
shit.
Walnuts.
Yeah, yeah.
He's not Andrew
You
Dice
gotta
Clay.
get you 7 hours. Like,
He was an interior decorator.
Yeah, so Pete fakes a home invasion to steal his grandfather's gold coins.
You fucked it all up.
And that was funny to me because I was like, this is like, they want it to be like drugs, but it's not drugs, it's gold coins. Like if it was any other situation, it would be like drugs or something, but no, this was gold coins.
Yeah.
I swear, I'll have them for you tomorrow. Got them in a safe deposit.
Because it was funny. Well, the first scene of like when fucking old lady falls down and shit like that, I was just like, why don't these buttercreamers go and check her medicine cabinet? But it's just like, she's got gold coins. Like, what is going on? What is this?
Well, she doesn't have gold coins. Pete's grandfather has gold
This
coins.
is Pete's grandfather.
And
Oh, that was Pete's grandfather?
Yeah.
I see it. Nah. The
the guy
right there.
I guess Pete hires this guy to, and he's faking the home invasion so he can get his
double crossed him.
Well, he he wants to sell the gold coins to have money to go back to Chicago. He's fed up with Elk Ridge, but the buttercreamers are alerted of this whole situation
By the creamettes.
by the buttercreamettes, and they go to Pete's house and they dogpile the burglar. Eldon lays his fat ass on the burglar's crotch and sort of grinds around and says, "I have you now. You're all mine." And
Gives him a good old Vader bomb.
yeah, and so the burglar, he's like, "You fucking double crosser," and Scott's like, "Yeah," and Pete's like,
no,
"I
no,
set
these
it all up. I want to go back to Chicago."
Hey, you gotta go fuck yourself. Huh?
Let me have a swig of water because what we're coming up to next is the most important piece of the film.
Most important, like, dialogue of any film. We didn't rehearse this either.
This is the very dramatic and emotionally driven scene that happens in Mr. Graff's Mercantile, the store.
At the 4 minutes from the end of the film.
Yes.
I'd call this the climax.
It's very big.
Yeah. This is a big moment.
Pete, his plan to rob his grandfather went awry. So he goes to the store and he's going to rob the store. But Mr. Graff, with his philosophy, he just gives Pete the money.
Yeah, here's 200.
Which blew my mind because I didn't remember that part watching it. Like, he was just like, because he said, he's like, oh, here's $240. Like, he just gave him $240 right
out
there.
of the fucking drawer.
And I was just like, that is a lot of money, even back in 1992. Like, fuck me, dude. Like, this dude was just like, oh, you gonna rob me? Here's $240.
Yeah, he's like, you're not robbing me. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, that pissed him off.
Pete did not like this. This whole town has gone
So
crazy.
I'm like, oh,
on him.
thanks, dude. Scram.
He's like, what's the deal with all these people?
Yeah, and so he's like, I'm going to destroy the store until you make me leave. Enter Scott, who is, he confronts Pete yet again.
I mean, he's already gotten beaten up by him.
Yeah,
He's-
at this point. This is Scott at
Did
his
we
most
talk
like.
about them, like him beating his ass?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
This is him
I
at his
blacked out for a
most
second.
like his most like like fed up with Pete's
Scott,
antics.
he asked Pete, he's like, you're my best friend. What do you want? And Pete, what does he really want? He wants to be...
He wants people to just
He wants to be
accept that
left
he's
alone.
changed. He wants people to know that this is how he is now.
But what he really wants, he wants Scott to hate him.
Yeah, this is what he wants.
But Pete, I'm your best friend. Why would I hate you? Because I hate myself!
That's where you're in the episode.
So, this is a very big revelation in the character of Pete. He fully admits that he hates himself.
And this is where he runs out of the store, right?
Yeah.
He runs
But
off.
Let's focus more on he hates himself.
He hates
admits
himself.
it. He wants to be hated. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think he hates himself?
Because, I mean, like,
I hate
have
myself
you ever
too
been
if I was a
so
fucking dick.
cool that, like, you're like, everybody's stealing my swag, like, Mm-hmm. And I think he's just like, he got in a gang. Now everybody's wanting to be in a gang. I think he just kind of got sick of it, so he started to hate himself because of what he created.
Yeah. He really couldn't figure out where it all went wrong. He was lost. And who he was now, it was the complete antithesis of what a buttercreamer is. He wasn't a buttercreamer anymore. He was...
Just a creamer.
Yeah, he was spoiled cream. And I feel...
Curdled, if you will.
And I feel like what Forrest S. Baker III is saying is that if we do not imitate the teachings and the actions of Jesus Christ, that we will become to hate ourselves. And we'll end up like Pete, fully corrupted and completely lost. And that's why we need to be like Scott, and we need to be like Gandhi, and we need to be like Mr. Graff, and we need to be like Scott, the veteran that Scott's dad met, and we need to be a little more like Jesus Christ. And I think that's sort of important to really understand the fabric of this film. Is not just you can understand the film at a surface level, but it really helps to know about the teachings of a man called JC and George Lucas.
You know what? I was just about to say, do you remember what happens towards the end?
Go ahead and
of,
tell him. I know exactly.
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. You know what? Anakin kills Mace Windu, and he says, "What have I done?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he says, "I will do whatever you say, Master." And that's where he becomes Darth Vader, and that's where he's just given up. He doesn't know what he is anymore. he's become the bad guy. He stopped following, the Jedi way, and he turned to the dark side, brother.
Yeah.
And now he's
Yeah,
Darth
dude.
Vader. He's Darth Vader, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's
He
kinda like-
was Anakin Skywalker, brother.
Yeah.
But then he turned to the dark side, dude, because Emperor Palpatine, he seduced him, dude. Not in the sexual way, dude, but like in the mind way, brother.
Yeah, the mind, dude.
He seduced his
Yeah.
mind, brother.
Sort of like I felt lost like that one time, dude, back in Bash of the Beach 1996, brother. There was 100,000 Hulkamaniacs screaming their heads off, dude. And, that's when I turned my back on the Christ-like likeness of Macho Man and Steve.
Yeah, don't forget about you. Turn and stab me in the back.
Yeah, like that, dude, and Sting, brother. And that's when I joined the NWO, dude. And, that's really when I lost my way. I was lost like Pete here in this movie, dude.
I think Pete's got a lot of good qualities, but he just can't reach the potential that he needs to be at.
All right, so Scott he goes back to his house, and everyone from the whole fucking movie is there in his
It
living
makes
room.
you think something else happened.
Oh, Pete is gone. By the way,
Yeah,
he's just fucking
he left.
disappeared.
He left
Scott,
out of the store and never saw him again.
Scott is continuing to write letters to him without any reply,
Hey man,
Just really.
I wondering where you are.
What you wearing?
and they sort of like set it up like, they're like, Scott, I don't know how to tell you this, but well, why don't you tell him? And he's like, well, Scott, I don't know how to tell you this.
Why
but,
don't you just read it?
Why don't you just read it? And he reads this newspaper clipping, and it's revealed that Pete, back in Chicago, has a gang, and he's doing good deeds.
All right, fucking nerd squad.
It seemed like Scott was at a point where he was getting nowhere with Pete. He was trying to be nice to him, hang out with him, have other people give him love, Mr. Graff giving him free stuff.
Take all the candy bars you
Hey,
want.
here's the keys. Have the store.
But again, no good deed goes unrewarded. And now Pete is past, he's paying it forward in Chicago now.
You
With
see
his
that
own
movie?
good guy gang.
And he got
a new
honored.
chapter
He
of
gets
the
stabbed
ButterCream
in the-
Gang.
And he got honored by
The mayor.
of Chicago.
The mayor. And so they fucking let a girl into the ButterCream Gang, and then it ends.
No credits.
That is the ButterCream Gang. Now, I could ask you guys what you thought about the film, but I think there's a more interesting thing we could do. On the release of the film, there are questions on the back for family discussion.
Oh, really?
I feel like you guys are like family to me. So, and listeners, you can join in at home as well and really ponder these things. Let's think about the question number one. When someone wrongs you, does it take more courage to fight or to find another way to solve differences?
I'm trying to fight.
Devin?
Wait, read it again?
When someone wrongs you, does it take more courage to fight or to find another way to solve differences?
Someone wrongs me,
Yeah.
then I'm just gonna,
Hit him in the head with a hammer.
I'm just gonna.
I'm going to rob the fucking grocery store.
Not even their grocery store, just like
A grocery store.
Food Lion, just to get back at them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll show them what. Yeah. Does doing the right thing always bring immediate results we can see?
No, and that's why you should just do wrong anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you steal the grocery store, you get immediate candy bar.
Right, of course. Or you should go big, like, the meat's kind of expensive right now. You should steal some meat.
Right. When people don't like themselves, how do they usually treat others?
Like shit.
Like shit.
Okay.
Usually.
Look at us. Me and Devin.
Right. You guys treat me terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause you hate
Because we
yourself.
don't
We hate
like
ourselves, and we don't like you either.
Why does Scott give Pete his bike?
Because he's a fucking bitch.
you. I know. That part always baffled me. I'm not over that part.
He's a
I
fucking bitch.
still like
should not give a guy a
You
bike.
can take my bike.
Maybe if he had
I'm sorry, like I have a paper route and
look,
now I have to fucking run my
maybe.
paper route. What kind of bullshit is that?
Maybe if he had a gun, I'd probably give him my bike. But he didn't have a gun.
No. He just
Also, I think Scott.
He went out of his way. He like rode his bike to Pete and it was just like,
Here's my bike.
here's my bike. I'm not a bitch, but now I have to run my paper route. And then you find out later on in the movie, my paper route has been expanded, and I'm like, yeah, but
I'm
those
bikeless.
calves are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm bikeless with long ass paper route.
And finally, what does unconditional love mean?
Nothing.
Oh, there's a song, right?
That's a Against Me song, too.
Even if your love is unconditional.
Yeah,
Even
oh,
if
shit,
your
you're right,
love.
It's unconditional. It's about a different thing, though.
But
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. I don't know what it's
have an
about.
answer for that.
All right. Well, that was the ButterCream Gang.
We're ending pretty soft here right now. Let's end on a good laugh. What'd you think about the fact that there were no black people in that movie?
I mean, there really wasn't any. There wasn't any.
There literally wasn't. There was no. There was. Everyone was white, and that's again that goes back to your Zion thing that you said this guy was trying to do.
I mean,
That says something about him.
Yeah, you mean Nazi.
Not Zion, you know.
I don't.
So
know.
that's how we'll end this.
Okay.
Is it?
No,
Is that
I
how-
don't know.
I mean-
I don't know. I was trying to get a laugh.
I think. Well, all right. Okay. So this movie,
Oh my god, we're going deeper.
I feel like it, regardless of my indifferences towards of what it's trying to say and what it sort of represents, I still have quite an affection for it, just because of, I mean, the character Pete, the character Eldon. I don't care about Scott too much, and the whole story and sort of the lore of the Buttercreamers, how they help widows. So, regardless that this movie is objectively a piece of shit, I think that it's something that if you want to get the most out of
What a movie can offer.
a movie
This
can
is
offer,
what- this
or
is the
really
movie.
like a movie that will make you think like it makes me think about morality and whatnot. I mean, I watch it,
It's worth a watch. And
Yeah, it's on
especially
YouTube.
It's fucking free. You should watch this get some friends together. Say, hey, we're having a regular movie night, and have them and just turn on ButterCream Gang.
And then you can hate yourself too.
Yeah, you'll laugh. You'll say, "What the fuck?" It's everything you want in a movie. Literally every second of it, like there's some shit going on.
Yeah,
And
no,
you're
it's
like-
very fast paced for
It really
fucking
is fast.
family.
It's like an hour 34.
But it cruises.
I hope that I hope there's some people out there that listen to this and it kind of just like unlocked their brain, just like, holy shit, I watched that in second grade.
Right. Yes.
I hope that there's at least one person that's listening to this that has like just like had that memory unlocked for them. Like, and maybe it happened like halfway through the episode. They're like, oh shit, I know this movie.
Right. Well, Corey, do you have anything you'd like to say? Thank you again for returning to WindleyMania. It's always great to have. What are you about? You're really looking intently. Do you have anything?
I was waiting for you to finish your sentence.
Go ahead.
I didn't know when it was done.
No,
I want to thank you and Devin for both having me on here. It was a blast and a half. No, this is honestly, anybody who has never seen ButterCream Gang, watch it, and then once you're done watching it, go listen to Windley. Am I right?
Yeah, and listen to the Dirty Earls. And Devin,
Yeah.
guess I'll see you again next week, huh?
Next week.
Next week.
Absolutely next week.
On the next WindleyMania.
The next WindleyMania that we're doing next week.
Next week. I
Yep.
don't even feel like doing the show.
2 years later.
We've got a lot of shows. Just go to the Instagram page
Yep,
and like
follow
scroll.
for more Windley Grab. Follow at Windley_band and WindleyHub.blogspot.com.
What's the Dirty Earls one? At Dirty Earls. At the Dirty Earls. That's one of them. Just
The
look
Dirty
it up.
Earls.
There's pictures of me and Corey and Brett on there. You'll know which one it is.
Corey.
Mostly Corey.
Corey hasn't had pants on this whole time. All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.